Carl Jackson podcast. I am very excited and delighted that you guys are watching us on CJC Network and now on CJC2 and listening to us on all of the podcast platforms. It's so many places now that I'm losing count of where we at and what channels and all that stuff. So the best way to find us is go to CJC TV. Actually, that's changed too. Instagram. It's now Instagram CJC Network. I forgot about that. They changed it. It's CJC Network on Instagram and Facebook, and it has all the channel lineups and numbers and places you can listen to the podcast as well as watch us on the network. We have a special guest with us today, and she's actually a part of the CJC Network. Her name is Denella Ri'chard. You guys have seen her show 100 million times on Sunday nights at 8:30, 5:30 Pacific. And she also has reruns that play on CJC all the time. So we had to have her on the podcast because me and her go way back. We're going to talk about that a little bit today on the podcast. So would you please welcome welcome on the podcast, Miss Denella Ri'chard.
Hello, Carl.
How you doing?
Exciting. I am fantastic. Thrilled to be here. I am super excited about the expansion and the growth of the CJC, which has just been absolutely amazing. So congratulations to you, my friend.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate it. And you and I go way back. It's funny that we're talking about CJC and what you're doing, which is huge. You just won an award. We're going to talk about that in a second. But let's talk a little bit. Let's tell the people a little bit about how we started. We started really almost probably 30 years ago, right? Over 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago.
Hard to believe that.
It's hard to believe. It seems like yesterday.
It's definitely close to 30 years.
Right.
That's for sure. Yes, absolutely.
And we did, we had a couple little shows that we tried to do together. And I always call it prep for what we're doing now. Yes. And it was a learning curve. What did you learn in that time that we were trying to build what we're building and what we have built that you are applying today?
So, Carl, of course, you and I met I was straight out of college and you were already a young up and coming filmmaker in Dallas, Texas. And I was just getting my feet wet in the television and film industry. And I think I might've saw an ad for your movie in a newspaper or something. Yep. That's how long ago it was, right?
Yeah, I know.
And I came out to the premiere. That was Camille Street, I think was the name of it. So I came out to the premiere of your movie, was just super excited to meet you. And then, through collaboration of ideas, we had a chance to work on our own pilot and all that for a sitcom. And of course, we have many adventures. We could tell about that from the celebrities who we worked with to trying to get that on television. And looking back, your career, you have endured the journey of television. As for me, I had a chance to start in television, but then I took a detour and went into travel. So when you ask me, what have I learned? I've learned that life is full circle.
It is.
So, all these years later, and I was a young girl straight out of college with a degree from Southern University and HBCU. Television, right? I thought my whole career was going to be all about TV, but life has a way of moving you around, right? So because I always loved travel, I had lived in Africa as a study abroad student. Somehow, my career was able to take that turn into the travel industry, going on to work for some of the big boys, billion-dollar companies like Hilton Worldwide, Carnival Corporation, Norwegian Cruise Line. So really building that muscle, right? And getting that experience in the corporate world. And then through COVID-19, the travel industry shut down, right? For a period of time. And a friend called me, an old friend called me and said, hey, when you coming back to TV? And I was like, you know what? I hadn't thought about it, but that old friend was you. So Thank you. Thank you for being my inspiration to come back to television. And, you know, we've been on this journey now, a little over 2 years. We have filmed more shows than anyone throughout COVID, going into destinations when most people were still afraid to travel, but capturing what the vacation experience is like now, and telling destination stories. And it's simply been an amazing, amazing journey.
You know, it's kind of interesting too, because, you know, when I called you about coming to television, you were actually comfortable with travel because you love travel so much. But what you probably are now realizing, it was prep for what you're doing now, because you have the experience and the knowledge. You're not just some host who's hosting a travel show because you just want to be famous. You really understand travel. Like you have more skill. You have another, I guess, tool in your skill set or your toolbox that most hosts don't have. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. You know, I get the question all the time. People will say, well, how did you go from being a corporate executive in the travel industry to having your own show and hosting it? Well, and I tell them, I said, well, it's actually the other way around. You should be asking, how did I go from being in television and going into the corporate travel world? Because I got my start in television. And so while it looks like it's really easy to so many people, they don't realize that I've been on this journey, like you just said, almost 30 years.
Right.
You know, so it's almost 30 years of building a network and building relationships. So it's working within those large corporations, having to sit, you know, have an opportunity to sit at the, you know, the boardroom tables, you know, building those relationships. So when people look at my show and they're like, oh my God, you know, or they see, you know, when we have a Disney commercial or someone on there, right? Or you know, we're in Jamaica or we're in Ecuador. You don't just get those relationships, right? That comes because I was a executive in the travel industry for many, many years. So a lot of those people either know me personally, who I work with, or they can easily, you know, call it a referral, looked at my LinkedIn page and go, oh, okay, Denella, that's Denella, right? Or we have a mutual friend. So that's what your network does for you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's my village, right?
Right.
The travel industry is my village.
Right.
So my friends are those people now who are in the C-suite. So
Right.
I'm able to call them either to say, hey, come on the show, or I'm able to call them for referrals or advice, you know, all of that. So that's what people, you know, really have to understand. And I say, especially to our young people who look at Carl Jackson and they go, oh my God, Carl Jackson has his own networks, you know, and they think, oh my God, this guy probably did this, you know, overnight. I could do it too. Well, there are some people that can get that lucky, right? And they're able to make things happen overnight. But the reality is, I know your story, you know my story. And we've been out here a long, long time. And I am so super proud of you, because anybody that can endure television as long as you have, television and film, you know, that's not an easy journey. And I had to bow out early because we were going broke. And I had to go get a real job.
Right. But no, you know what, but people don't even understand though. You know, people look at what you do with your television show and they look at what I do, and they think that it just automatically means money. And what people don't understand is, yes, I might do okay with money, but you don't know my overhead. You don't know what I have to spend and what I've got to do mentally daily to make sure everything stays stable. Talk a little bit about your show, because that's really, you do it on a smaller scale. What I do, you're a producer, you're sometimes editing, you're booking travel. You're not just on front of a camera. Matter of fact, but by the time you probably get in front of the camera, you are exhausted, but you got to put on that face and shoot your segment. Talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people just think, you know, especially when they reach out to me, oh yeah, I have a resume, I've done this, I've done American Idol, I've done this. And I'm going, but you don't have enough to make me jump because you're just looking for I guess the dressing room, you know, but you're not looking to really understand that the hustle and bustle of the business. Talk a
Yes.
little bit about what you do as a producer, because you're just not a host.
Yes, I think definitely people have to understand that television is a business, especially if you're wanting to have your own show, your own network. It is a business. Now, if you're just looking to be a talent, go audition. Somebody will cast you, put you on their show, and that's all you got to worry about. But if you are really looking at getting your, launching your own show, like I say, your own network, then you're going to wear all of those hats. So, Carl, as you said, I am executive producer, trying to find sponsors, trying to find money, right? Acting as producer, right there in the editing studio, editing all those shows. When I'm not doing that, I'm on a plane with 2 videographers, as well as production manager and alternate producer, myself as the host, going in and out of destinations. Almost every week we're in different places. I just got back from the Bahamas last week.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram.
Right there. We have been to Ecuador, the Galapagos Islands, St. Lucia, came back from Martinique. It's a lot that goes into it. And even writing, right? It's
writing the script for each show. Yeah.
Exactly. So
that everything is seamless.
Yes, the amount of work that goes into it is endless. It is a full-time
job,
responsibility.
Right.
Business, right?
What did you, now, when you came from travel, what did you learn about travel being an African-American woman? Because there's not a lot of people that are African-American women that made it to the level that you made it to in travel as an executive, and actually a senior, probably executive. What was that like to be, they say the further you go up, which I'm starting to feel it now, the pressure, it gets harder to breathe, you know what I mean? So what was it like to be on that level, being African-American female?
Well, on the journey to get there, I got my bachelor's, I got my master's degree. I worked internationally. I worked as an expat in Brussels, Belgium for 3 years, working in the travel industry. I went on for another 20, like I said, working for the Hiltons, the Carnival Corps, the Norwegians. I led teams. When I came out of the travel industry, out of the cruise industry, I was leading a team of 40 people. So, I did everything, taking all the leadership courses, promotion after promotion after promotion. And then you realize there is a ceiling.
Right.
And
come on.
Right. There's a ceiling for Black people, right? And and as a Black woman, I'm watching myself. I'm well positioned. I've got the education. I got the degrees. I got the experience. I got it. What can they do to stop me now? Well, they just reshuffle the deck, right? Yep. So basically, when COVID-19 happened, it was like, oh yeah, you know what? Your business unit is, we're 3 months into the year. You're at 60% of the revenue, and I'm talking about in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Oh yeah. Performing, right? Right. And it's like, oh, well, COVID-19, we got to shut down the industry. It's going to affect a lot of people. And guess what?
You first.
Sorry. Sorry. So while I'm sitting there going, I know I got the revenue behind me, I got all this experience, they just reshuffle the deck because I had already gotten too close to the top. So it's like, we know Becky over here. I'm sorry.
Keeping it real.
She don't have as much as experience. And then we stack her right next to Denella. It's going to look a little bit uneven. So it's better. Let's just reshuffle the deck and move some people on. When I was one of those people that moved on. Now, at the time, it was disappointing.
Of course.
Right? But looking back, oh my God, I thank God for that blessing, because I never would have left corporate. I was on, you would call me Carl. I was like, oh, Carl, I'm doing great in the corporate world. I'm moving up the corporate ladder. Man, I'm putting into my 401k.
She used to call me, no, people, you don't understand. Right? She would call me and we would meet at, 5, 10-star hotels, and she would pay for dinner every time. Like, I'd never had to pay for dinner when I'm with Denella. I'd be like, can I roll with you? Because she was so exquisite. Her clothing and her just everything about Denella was about first class. So I mean, I would get these calls, random calls. Hey, I'll be in LA, or where are you gonna be? I'll be in London, or I'll be here. Are you gonna be here? And she would always, I would meet her at whatever location, and she would always have, 5-10 star hotel or dinner, 5-star, 10-star dinners. So I'm painting the picture for my audience so they understand where you were at when this all changed. So
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes. So yeah, I was on the corporate track. I was bought in, and that was it. I was not envisioning coming back to television, at least of all having my own show. And I certainly didn't envision winning a Telly Award a few years later.
We're going to talk about that in a second. Yes.
Right? So it's like COVID-19 changed my life. But as they say, with lemons, make lemonade. But even beyond that, it's about the village. It's about like friends like you, Carl, who motivated me and encouraged me, and said, hey, why are you worried about that job? You still got a degree in television. You got experience. Come back to TV because we miss you.
Right.
And this is a platform and an area where you, with your experience, with your knowledge, all the places you've been, imagine taking people with you to those places, right? So it's like, God bless me in another way. And I'm just so grateful because now I sit here and I'm like, I can't even imagine going back to a corporate job.
Right.
But even greater, it's not just a TV show. I have my own business.
Right. That's the key.
I didn't see that.
That's the key. And we're talking about doing other shows for CJC that you're going to be producing. We're talking through it. Hopefully that will all work out. But let's talk a little bit about the Telly Award. I mean, you have brought home to us and to the show a Telly Award. And I'm just so proud as your partner in this, CEO of the network. We feel so honored to be able to tell people. Matter of fact, I didn't even announce it until you called me. I was like, look, I saw it different places. I was like, I'm not saying nothing. I want her to let me know when she wants me to know. And as soon as you told me, I was on it. I was like, because it's such a proud moment for you and the show. What did that feel like to know that all your hard work, because you've never, I would assume that you've won awards possibly in travel, but nothing to the point where you did it with your business and your idea, and it's all owned by your blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
That had to have been a different feeling, wouldn't you say?
Yes. For years I worked for corporations and we brought home best new ship, best itinerary around the world and all these things. I was winning awards for the corporations that I work for. And finally, to use that talent, and bring home an award in television.
Come on, first show.
Exactly. For my own series, that's huge.
First show.
Flattering, honored. But again, it goes back to the village. It goes back to you and all the people that work with me on a daily basis and who stand with me, who travel the world with me, who are in the editing booth late at night with me. You
got a team. Yeah, we have a team.
It's a team. And at the end of the day, that's what it takes. And I can remember early on this journey, and Carl, you and I went through this early in our careers when I first started out, where, you get to, at some point, you might think you can do it alone because you get burnt by other people or whatever. And you start to think, I could do this.
Right.
I don't need all these people. But no, we all need a village.
Yes, you need people.
You need people, right? So I couldn't have done this without all the people that are behind me. I don't even want to start naming names, because if I name one name, then somebody else is going to say, well, you didn't name me, right?
Well, I'll just say this, everybody that's at the end of the credits of each show episode, That's the team. I mean, from executive producers to associate producers to editors to the cameramen to the Foley, all of the things that happens when you create a show. Those people are to be that's your team, that's your family. And I think that's the thing that makes this so wonderful, is that you not only you didn't open just the door for yourself, you opened the door for others to have an opportunity. They now have a resume that's a little bit thicker because of your hard work and your blood, sweat, and tears. And I tell people all the time, you're never going to reach your success unless you understand that everything that's given to you was given to help someone else. And so if you're thinking of it as it's just for you, then that's kind of the corporate way of seeing it. It's kind of like we all work together to make corporate look great, and then but you're needed, as we say, we need you. But if you really want to have extreme success, you have to keep that same team and keep them happy and keep building with that team. And that's really how you do it.
Absolutely. That team, and then your family and friends who may not make credits, but who are also there cheering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me this, what is your goals for the show, traveling, and what do you have planned as you start developing your production company? I see that you and your partner, I don't went blank. What's his name?
Mr. Wiggins.
Mr. Wiggins. We got to give him a shout out because he's been a huge help to the brand. As on the broadcast side, he's done some amazing things for you with the 1 hour special that we're going to start playing on CJC and CJC2, I think. Talk a little bit about your partnership in terms of what you guys plan to do with more content and the hour special. What was that about? You was on NBC, Fox, ABC. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So my business partner is Don Wiggins, and Don has an amazing background in media and radio and television. And he and I came together and to expand the show. Is the bottom line, to expand it and take it even further. And based on some of his relationships, we were able to get the show in 74 different markets. Ooh. Right? On CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox. So we have a 1 hour special that ran during the months of April and May. It performed really, really well. And right now we're getting communications from some of those stations that are already asking if we're going to do it again. So the answer is we definitely plan to continue to grow. Our plan is to go to every destination around the world that we can get into and tell those destination stories and have fun in the process. Because Carl, one thing about COVID is that it showed us how to vacation differently. And what I mean by that is because of social distancing and things like that, you couldn't just go to the resort and hang out at the pool bar and hug strangers and throw back shots and give strangers kisses. You know what I mean? So because of that, it pushed us a little bit beyond the resorts, where we found ourselves, connecting with nature, connecting with the wildlife. And I found myself in the show doing things I never thought I'd do. So in the 1 hour special, you saw me swimming with sharks, right in the Bahamas. You saw me on a swing at the edge of the world, swinging into the abyss and
that's one of my favorite episodes, because when you got off that swing, baby, let me tell you, girl, I was laughing my tail off. I mean, because here's the thing, people, I'm executive privileges. She sent me the show before it aired. And so I'm looking at this show, and we end up having to do a couple of more cuts of it before it even aired because of other reasons. But I remember when I first saw it, I have a way to watch it either on my laptop or when I'm in my media room. I'm able to just watch stuff that way. But for some reason, I wanted to watch it at the moment that you sent the email, so I put it on my phone. And so I'm looking at the scene, and I'm just laughing my tail off. If you haven't seen that episode, you gotta check it out. And she's literally on, I don't know how you did it, because it's one thing to see it, to see like how far down, but the day you did it, it was foggy.
Yes.
So in my mind, the way my mind works, all I'm thinking is, what is in this fog? Is it Godzilla? Is it a dinosaur? Like, what? How did you do that? I don't even think you know how you did it.
You know what? I was terrified, but I'm gonna tell you what they did. How they punked me, quite frankly. They put a 3-year-old on this swing before me. And this little girl, now you saw that swing, it was a skinny seat belt.
It had no seat belt.
That's it. It's not like your harness in. Right. No. They put this little girl in the swing and pushed her out, and she's like, so she obviously, I think her dad worked there, where the swing is. So they put her in there all the time. Okay. So she's just used to swinging out there into the heavenly abyss and coming back. So they put this 3-year-old on there first, and they're like, "See, if she could do it, you could do it too." Yeah,
they played you. They played you for real. Because I would have said, "Look, that 3-year-old got more guts than me, but I ain't getting on it."
Exactly. So I did it. I was terrified, but I was glad I did it. So that's the one thing about the show. It's brought a whole nother side of me out. It's brought a whole nother side of adventure out, but it's also showing people all the different things they can experience and do in these destinations. And I get people who write almost every week, and they're like, "I watched your show and I did everything you did to the T." And I'm even getting people now that are like, "Can you email me the itinerary? I want to follow exactly what you did." Wow. So it's just thrilling to see the movement that we're also creating and the following of people that are following me to these places around the world. I literally had a young lady on social media the other day. She wrote and she goes, "Oh, I'm in St. Martin, we're having a great time." And I said, "Well, when you get there, try such and such." She said, "We already did that. We're following your itinerary."
That's crazy.
That was so flattering. She was like, "We booked the trip because of you. That's why we went there." Right? So that is the biggest form of flattery for me, because at the end of the day, I am a tourism industry professional, right? And when you go places and support these destinations that I've been to, and one of the things in every show I always say, support the small businessman. Everywhere I go, I buy things that I take back and come home with me. So whether you see this Eiffel Tower behind me, I bought that in Paris, or you see this African batik with the elephants behind me, I bought that in Kenya. So everywhere I go, I support the small businessman and bring something back. So that is key. And then also exemplifying faces of diversity within the show as well. Because so many times you'll hear people say, well, they didn't really see. I mean, I was at a conference this weekend and they were talking about, and it was a Black travel conference. And it was a panel of all Black men. And they were saying people think Black men don't travel. Right? Oh, wow. But of course we do. So it's showcasing people that you wouldn't normally expect to see in some of these destinations as well. Right. So we're having a ball. We're having a fabulous time on this journey. And I'm just simply loving life. And Carl, I don't have to put on a business suit. Like I say in my opening, I traded in my business suit for a swimsuit. And I'm enjoying the journey.
That's all right, man. That is all right. Well, Denella, I just have to say thank you so much for doing this episode. You got to have you come back, and maybe we've been talking about doing this, but I want to do it in the next year or two. We want to do some type of film, and a travel film, and I think that would be a great idea. And I think it'd be also great if we did it the way I see it, and then we shoot it internationally. I'm really seriously wanting to do it internationally. So that's been something I've been brewing with and holding on to, and just trying to figure out the logistics of it. But we are so happy that you're part of the CJC family. And if you watch the traveling show on CJC, of course, it comes on Sunday nights at 5:30 West Coast and then 8:30 East Coast. And we play reruns all week whenever we have pockets. But and it's also on the Grid Network. Definitely on weekends, it plays on the Grid Network as well. So if you haven't seen the show, please check it out. And there's also secondary episodes available on YouTube. I think the GFN TV and some of the local affiliates. You just got to check your local listings. You can watch it as a secondary, the secondary episode. So episodes that have already been played on CJC will play in other places. So you might want to check it out that way if you don't watch it here.
And of course, follow me at Traveling with Denella.
Yes.
That's where you can get all the latest information about the show and also find out all the different places to watch it. But of course, the #1 place to watch the show is on the CJC and the Grid.
You would say that again, girl. Say that again.
The #1 place to watch the show is on the CJC and the Grid. That's watch Traveling with Denella Ri'chard and follow me at Traveling with Denella.
See, I can't say nothing else after that. Till next time, y'all be blessed. Love y'all. Peace.